early stage of a career, you're searching, you're still searching where you want to be, what the potentials are. Sure, you have high goals, very ambitious goals, but practically you just really don't know whether you can achieve that. So, as I say, you're just really searching.
What he sought, and it had been a dream from childhood, was the crown of European Grand Prix racing, the World Championship. It took time and several different teams until he had what he wanted, a swift black Lotus no one could catch. Monza, Italy, September '78. He would clinch the title in the country in which he was born on a day of tragedy. His teammate Ronnie Peterson would be killed in this accident just after the start. Mario had seen other friends die too, but somehow he was never deflected from his original sense of purpose. The World Championship was destiny fulfilled. Andretti was 38, a millionaire, a legend, a man with talented sons following in his footsteps. It wasn't enough. With Paul Newman and Carl Haas, he formed a team that would attack Indy in the national championship. A major goal was a second Indy win. Crashes here in the last 3 years, not of his making. This one, when he was driving for Pat Patrick, have only deepened his resolve. His team has won nearly everything else, including the national championship and the first race of this year.
When I'm out there after something, I really want it badly. I'm not just out there just for fun and games. And I go after it with all my might. I'm not always armed the way I want it to be. Sometimes the bullet's just a little bit too small. But I go after it.
Go after it he has. The little boy who so long ago had the pig by the tail is now a man with the world in the palm of his hand.
So it would seem at this moment, Mario Andretti leading still at Indianapolis. Emerson Fittipaldi of Brazil has now moved ahead of Bobby Rahal into second place in the race. Two former World Grand Prix Formula One driving champions now running 1-2. And now here into the pit comes the leader in the race. Jim Lampley is standing by in his pit area.
Routine stop, his second pit stop of the race. Side rubber being changed, refueling taking place. There is an air tension in this pit, somewhat different from that of pits away, where it is somewhat more relaxed. Perhaps that has to do, of course, with the history of misfortune that Mario has suffered in his 19 drives in Indianapolis. In and out in just about 20 seconds. An excellent pit stop for Andretti.
A very good pit stop for Mario Andretti, but that pit stop, at least for the moment, gives the lead to Emerson Fittipaldi of Brazil, who a good many years ago was the youngest man ever to win the World Grand Prix Championship. Now at the age of 38, has come to America and absolutely loves it over here, doesn't he?
Well, he does. Jim, Emerson told us that Indy's, the crowd, the size of it, and the enthusiasm reminds him of the Brazilian soccer crowd back in Rio when he was a kid. He loves it here.
Indy is certainly very much like a Brazilian soccer crowd, only there are 400,000 here. Well, they do have a soccer stadium in Rio that'll hold 200,000, wow. The biggest in the world. There are the standings. Fittipaldi, Rahal, Unser Jr., Whittington, Guerrero. 500 now with Bobby Rahal second, Al Unser Jr. third. Then you go to Don Whittington and Roberto Guerrero. Mario Andretti, who had has dropped down to sixth place, but that's because he's made a pit stop and the others have not. And now here into the pits comes Fittipaldi.
Down that rough pit lane, which they don't repave, I think to keep it a little bit slow, Jim. It's rough like that.
Like bumps on your neighborhood street that they put in for children, yeah.
Exactly. All right, here's the Pat Patrick team, which we saw earlier in our pit stop demonstration, doing it for real. Former world champion Emerson Fittipaldi's car. At this stage in the race, the fuel, 40 gallons of it, flows in very fast because there's still plenty of fuel left in the tank to push down, give it some pressure. Later in the race, we may see pit stops there. Interesting how many are in this race. Jim, this year, 8 of them.
More than ever before,
yeah,
right?
6 last year, 5 back in 1960, way back in 1967. So suddenly there's a whole influx of Europeans, largely because of their road racing skills, I think.
Well, that pit stop by Fittipaldi gives the lead back again to Bobby Rahal, but here he comes into the pits to make his pit stop.
Yep, comes in very slowly. And you know,
look, they're opening up something.
Yep, they're starting to take the back off the car. That is, of course, a bad sign. Something's wrong here. I have no idea. There's no smoke or anything. They've taken off They took that hatch off where the turbocharger is. Sometimes the wastegates fail. Turbos, they are looking at the turbo, Jim.
Well, seconds clicking away. And with it, the lead and many, many places in the Indianapolis 500. A look from the other side. They are working on the turbo. Jack Arute is with Scott Brayton.
For Scott Brayton, it's an early departure after a wonderful month of May that put him on the front row. Scott, what put you out of this race?
Well, I'm going to have to get back there and look at it. Coming down the front straight, a little vibration in the back, and I lost some boost pressure on my gauge, and so I had to shut the V6 off. But up to that point, we were performing well. I was just, you know, the car was handling. I didn't quite have what I needed to get around the cosmos at the end of the chute, but I'm happy, and I'm very happy to have the one-lap record, and I'm just looking forward to coming back.
Okay, Scott Brayton out of it very gracefully. And now the lead has gone over to Danny Sullivan in car number 5. He had been running 7th, but again, because of these pit stops and the fact that he has not yet made his pit stop, he is the leader, but he's going to have to come in pretty soon.
Correct. This is a temporary situation here on the track. The pit stops, of course, they see him ducking in, do reshuffle things enormous, Indy.
Then the Roger Penske team. They have 3 cars in here, remember. Rick Mears, the defending champion, Al Unser Sr., and Danny Sullivan.
They had a pit stop contest here at India, and Danny Sullivan won that with pit stop winning crew in action. Penske's men, they rarely make a mistake. However, their problem when they ran over the air hose was that may be very costly.
And now it appears that all of the leaders have made their pit stops, as a result of which Mario Andretti is back in the lead.
Here he is. Mario Andretti, whatever plastic that lodged on the nose has been removed.
Okay, yeah, they have removed that. In fact, Jim Lampley is down in the pits. I think he has the villain with him.
I'm holding in my hand the polyurethane bag which rode with Mario Andretti in car number 3 for all those things more or less than a piece of garbage from the track. A great way to shop, a great way to save, it says. Mario Andretti may have saved himself a lot of time and trouble by letting it ride instead of get it off.
Okay, thank you, Jim. It's still Mario Andretti leading the race. Once again, he's about the last one that has not made in 3rd place. Fittipaldi, then Alan, Ron Whittington. And then Rick Mears. Biggest story so far were both predicted by many. The failure of the Buicks of Pancho Carter and Scott Brayton to Mario Andretti, the favorite in the race.
Yes, but I think they're coming to Mario the way it has not come to us, a little bit through luck. He had failures by some of his competition. Running air hose, Rick Knoll having trouble. Suddenly, the race is coming to Mario. Very unusual. We'll go back out. You see, they're even changing that left front tire, which they never change.
Well, that'll cost him the lead, no question of it. But Danny Sullivan is back out on the race course. I have never seen a person take a spin like that and begin to slide towards the wall and still recover. Let's have another look at it. We're going to have slow motion here in just a moment.
I'll tell you exactly what I think happened, Jim, even before seeing it. Aerodynamic effects. Watch what happens. I'll bet you that if Sullivan gets in front of Mario, no, I'm dead wrong. It's running over that the white line. The very thing that he was doing that made him so fast, I think, tripped him in this one move. Yeah, Mario's too far back, I think, to have had a rear guard aerodynamic effect. But all right, now, Andretti, faced with the moment of his driving life, he can't see where he's going, fades slightly to the left by a miracle. Sullivan stays wide enough to the right, hits nothing, and we may have seen the most dramatic moment of racing, certainly that we're going to see this year. Incredible.
Well, there's a long way to go, Sam.
How good are those two drivers?
So as a result of all this, we now have Emerson Fittipaldi leading the Indianapolis 500. The yellow flag is out. And they have another look at this. There's the standings right now, however. It's Fittipaldi leading, and now Andretti and Sullivan second and third. But now we have Fittipaldi in the pits, and that's going to change again.
Yeah.
Quick pit stop, though.
I'll tell you, I can't get my heart beat, frankly.
Still recovering from that,
yeah,
baby.
Really. I haven't seen anything like that in a long, long time. Danny Sullivan touch of luck, I think, frankly, too.
There's his crew chief, team manager and owner, Roger Penske.
Well, he's been at this
They'd be
game.
talking to Danny right now.
I don't think so. It's Derek Walker who talks to Danny on the phones, on the radio. Let's have another look at that, Jim, as we look at a different angle. Let's look at what Mario Andretti had to think about as all this was going on. Obviously, his first decision was to let Sullivan have running room on the inside. He didn't cut him off or anything. However, he didn't leave him a lot of room either, did he? All right. At the moment that Sullivan starts to lose it, and look at how quickly these cars can get away, Jim. It's so quickly. Andretti is suddenly driving blind here as soon as the smoke starts to pour off Danny's tires. Mario, and this is with years and years of instinct, does the right thing. He didn't try to get between Danny and the wall. He went on the inside, which actually, although it looks easy here, in our shot is the harder driving move to make because he had to pinch the car down instead of letting his car go wide. So Mario probably owes the fact that he didn't get involved in that crash to his years and years of driving and his perfect racing instinct.
So if either of those two drivers had been less talented or less experienced, that whole incident could have turned out much, much differently.
Oh, yeah, no question.
Andretti now back in the lead again. Sneva's moved to second, but he has to make a pit stop, and Danny is third.
Capaldi out of it. All right. There is Vogler. It was Sneva trying to pass Vogler in turn one. Sneva's great run now has come to an end in the first crash.
Tom Sneva out of his car, sitting on the pit wall, a little bit shaken, I'm sure. On the 123rd lap of schedule 200, there's Tom Sneva's wife.
Yeah.
On the right, Sharon Sneva. She doesn't know for sure.
Right, so it's Vogler we have to worry about. Tom Sneva is clearly okay.
Rich Vogler, who started 33rd, the last starter in the field.
Got this ride literally at the last minute, getting into the race. Former USAC midget champion. All right, now here we come. That's Sneva on the outside, extreme left of your screen, and he is going to pinch down across. No, he isn't either. There's Vogler taking the line. Sneva charges down into him.
Well, he just suddenly went right.
Yeah.
And into the wall.
Looked as if Sneva didn't see Vogler or thought he was further ahead of him.
There's Sneva.
Than he was.
Down low. And someone just getting by there. And then, also hitting the wall. So they both did. Rich Vogler, a rookie who started 33rd in the field, 35 years old, however. He's been around for a while. First passed his driver's test here in 1980.
Now look at that wheel flying through. But now again, I've made an incorrect call because there was a third car involved. The triggering of this incident,
look at that,
was a third car
just missed the driver
touching
in the car.
Vogler.
Yeah.
Sneva, here we go. Here's where the action starts. The car on the left here, which is Howdy Holmes. Look at that. It's Howdy Holmes that triggers the incident as he comes down on Rich Vogler. Sneva it wasn't Sneva's fault even remotely. Sneva, my God, there's Andretti in the middle of all this. Yep. Andretti gets by it. Incredible.
And there was Sneva just beginning to go down in the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah, Sneva spinning apparently needlessly, frankly. He wasn't that close to the action. Andretti was able to get by. That is incredible.
Well, there's his wife.
Yeah,
going down, I presume, to the garage or the hospital. He would have to go to the hospital for a check.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what.
But he looks...
They're still trying to get Rich Vogler. Oh, they got him out. Got him out on a stretcher now.
Yeah.
He'll be taken immediately to the field hospital. If necessary, will be flown by helicopter to the hospital downtown, which takes only 3 minutes by helicopter. The finest medical facilities at any race course in the world are here. So, some breathless moments at Indianapolis. The Danny Sullivan incident just before this. Matter of fact, we were recording on audio tape Danny Sullivan talking to his pit crew just after that occurred. There's Mario Andretti right here. But let's listen to what Danny said to his crew after the spin.
Okay, I'm still right behind Mario.
Okay, but you can hear Danny's voice was a little higher than the calm voice that you were talking to before.
Yes, that was, of course, after the first spin, not after this one, although, you know, Danny...
That was after Danny's spin.
That's right, and Danny was right on the road behind Mario as they both went through this, so Danny was very nearly in this as well. That was the voice, incidentally, of Derek Walker, his crew chief, talking to him on that radio. Look up.
You see the marshals out there directing traffic away from the wreckage, which is still on the track. Let's take a break.
I'll read you loud and clear, Sam.
The last incident, it's as if lightning is striking all around you. What was it like from your perspective?
Pretty frightening, actually, because we were going in there quick, and I saw those guys get tangled up, and one of them go up into the wall, and then Steve stood on the binders, and to kind of get his act together, he spun it right in front of me, and I just barely missed him.
How about your own spin at the same turn a little bit earlier? Not since Jim Clark in 1966 have I seen anyone control a car that way.
Well, I wish I could take the credit, Sam, and say that I was controlling it. I was just holding on, and that was my fault. We just had a little miscommunication, and I thought it was right toward the end of the race, and I needed to get by Mario.
It seemed as if you had been running a line very, very low, down over the white line, the yellow line. Was that part of what threw you out of control?
Absolutely. I had to go all four wheels down underneath there because Mario was leaning on me pretty good going into turn one. And just when I came back and hit it, the painted stripes, it just spun it around.
With all the things that have happened to you in the last few minutes on this racetrack, do you find yourself feeling okay nonetheless, feeling pretty normal?
Feeling great. I'm having a fabulous time out here, and I think it's been a pretty clean, good race so far.
Good luck to you. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
Very interesting, Sam, that he said he thought it was near the end of the race when they had about 80 laps to go. Is that normal?
No, that isn't. As he said, though, it's a miscommunication. He probably had to go for it, probably.
That feeling when you were driving?
Yeah, absolutely. Although the pressure in my era back in the mid-'70s from sponsors and supporters wasn't anything like what it is now, Jim. It's become full-time. It wasn't then.
Okay. Story of Danny Sullivan, currently in second place at Indianapolis, as they're still under the yellow. Yellow here at Indianapolis. Andretti, Sullivan, and Fittipaldi. It's been that way for a while. Tremendous dicing duel between Andretti and Sullivan, but Fittipaldi lurking all the while. Jack Arute now down in the pits with Rick Mears.
Things get very slow and very quiet in pit road when your car is out of the race. And for Rick Mears, that's the way it is right now. Rick's talking to one of his crew members, explaining to him what the problem was. Rick, what eventually put you out of the race?
Some in the gearbox linkage seized up and just I couldn't shift it at all. So that ended it for us.
Is it tough to gear down after going at over 200 miles an hour for about 250 miles?
Well, no, not really. I mean, you can't do a whole lot about it, so you've got to. But the Pennzoil car was working very well. We were making some changes and kept having to start over at the back of the pack, and I had some trouble with my visor coming off my helmet, so I had to stop and fix that twice. But every time we had to start back in the back of traffic and get going again. But the car was working well enough we could work our way up, so we're looking for the second half of the race to really start getting competitive.
Well, having worked your way up from the back, you've got first-hand experience with the turbulence here. How bad is it today?
Oh, you know, there's turbulence, but it's these cars are a little more sensitive to it than last year's cars were, but the Pennzoil car was working pretty good in it, and it was the same for everybody, so it didn't matter.
With the yellow still out, that is Rich Vogler being taken from the track hospital to the helicopter. We said he'll be flown from here to Memorial Hospital downtown, and that will take exactly 3 minutes to get him to the hospital. Bill Fleming is out there at the track hospital with Dr. Bach. Bill?
With me is Dr. Henry Bach, who is the medical director of the Speedway. Dr. Bach, you've just examined Rich Vogler. What's the story?
Yes, Rich Vogler has some facial lacerations and contusions, and he's on his way in Lifeline helicopter down to Methodist.
Is he conscious?
He is conscious and awake.
So you're really not that concerned?
Well, right now, initial evaluation is guarded, but in until we get him down there and look at him a little bit better, we're going to call him in fair condition.
Okay, how about Sneva?
Tom Sneva is awake and alert and does not appear to have suffered any injuries.
So you're not going to send him down now?
No, not at this time.
All right, thank you, Dr. Bach.
You're welcome.
Just amazing, the safety of these modern race cars at 200 miles an hour. But here are the standings, Andretti and Sullivan, and look at them dicing behind the standings right now. They're really at it again. The green flag has come out, obviously.
Interesting, those standings, Jim, show Roberto Guerrero up into third now. He finished second in the race last year, so we want to keep our eye very much on him.
In a way of just creeping up through the standings. That's the way he did it last year.
Yes.
But look at this. This is a repeat, it looks like, of what we saw a while ago until Danny Sullivan tried to pass Mario Andretti and the wild incident occurred.
Yep.
Let's see how he sets him up this time, if he can catch him.
Well, once again, he seems to have the speed to close in on Mario in the turns. Watch that Danny runs that lower line. Mario is holding a fairly high line, the sort of thing you'd expect from Richard Petty in stock car racing. And it's giving Danny a chance, certainly to look very aggressive, attacking down there. Danny, of course, is one of these overnight discoveries, right, Jim? He began racing in 1972. So he has got tremendous experience. He's made a mistake, if you could call it that, on his first effort to get by Mario. He was obviously rushed by that miscommunication with the pit. Now he's going to size this up. Obviously, that's straightened out in his mind. He knows how much race is left now.
The reason it says M.A. Andretti is because his son's in the race, and that's M.I. for Michael Andretti. But look at it. They've got the crowd really going here now. Penske in the pit of Danny Sullivan, and there's the sign.
Yep.
And here's the move.
All right.
Sullivan.
No. Mario cuts him off. But
Let's try again.
There's that low line through the short chute. No, again. And I'll tell you, Jim, you can sense not a shifting of allegiance exactly of the crowd. They are seeing what Danny Sullivan can do against the man, Mario Andretti, acknowledged to be the best at his business. Then here's Danny giving him a run for his money.
And the emotions of the crowd is a case of sentiment against the future, perhaps.
Yep. And you can imagine the ambivalence that Paul Newman must feel, incidentally. Owning,
look at this.
owning. Yep.
Here he comes.
Yeah.
Danny Sullivan side by side with Mario Andretti, and he does not get caught off this time.
Yeah.
And he does not win. At this point, he takes the lead.
Yep, it's almost like I'm going to show you that I can do it. I'm going to grandstand it, too, because that is, of course, turn one at Indianapolis where the biggest crowd in racing sits. And that's where Danny Sullivan picked his point to take the lead. And look at him stretch it out. My God.
Amazing how quickly he's beginning to stretch it out.
Yeah, well, of course, that often happens, though, because Mario hit the turbulence there for second, had to collect his thoughts. Mario hasn't had to run in second.
So, Danny Sullivan finally makes it, and it was some long, hard job to get into the lead. Here it is.
He drafted him down the straight, and once again, he went over those lines, which can often cause the car to be a little unstable. Tires don't get that good a grip. This time, he knew exactly what he was doing. Nifty stuff. I was going to say, you know, that Paul Newman used to sponsor Danny Sullivan in the Can-Am series, Jim. So he was a big booster of Danny's 3 or 4 years ago. I imagine he's looking at this with some conflicting emotions right now. Two men that he's supported and admired their skills.
Weather, by the way, continues perfect, at least for the spectators. Maybe a little hot in the race cars, although Bobby Rahal told us earlier from his car that it wasn't bad at all, really. Clear skies, however, that's the important thing. Just a gorgeous Memorial Day weekend, and great racing at Indianapolis.
Quite a few of the drivers are running with helmets that are now air-conditioned, which is kind of nifty. So many little technological
How in the world do they do that?
Oh, it's with some chemical that flows through a headband or something. I'm not really sure how they do it, but I understand it works very well, and it's symptomatic of so many little technical improvements. Never mind the major ones now, the cars that have made them faster and safer, and Indianapolis somehow leads the way.
The people have been saying since the invention of the wheel, what'll they think of next? Sullivan still leads the race. Andretti second. Roberto Carrero of Colombia. Very much a presence in third place in the race. look at the speed, the feeling that you get in. That's very realistic.
Yes, and yet at this stage of the race, Jim, often the drivers are almost anesthetized by the speed. The track is so smooth. The wall on the outside, there's Danny.
Danny Ungaius in trouble.
Danny Ungaius. His car is so instantly recognizable. That black car, he's driven the same kind of paint job for so many years. And all you can say, Jim, is it's good to see him out of the race, not in the wall. That's about all you can say. What a disappointment. He's been driving a very fine race in and out of 8th to 9th place in the last few laps.
The Hawaiian-born Danny Ungaius, very much respected driver in the business. Back to the leaders, 5 and 3. That would be Danny Sullivan and Mario Andretti.
Sullivan pulling away.
Yes, he is.
Yep.
But would Mario be saving a little bit of boost for the end?
No, I don't think so.
Fuel strategy?
No, I don't think so. I think there have been enough yellows now that probably they have ample fuel and have got it cranked up. I can't surmise what the problem with Mario could be. He has been the fastest car more or less all month here.
And now they bring out the yellow because of Ungaius.
They'll have to tow that in.
So he didn't dump oil on the track, apparently, because they didn't bring the yellow out immediately, but because of the tow-in, they have to do it. So here comes the leader, Danny Sullivan, under the yellow, taking advantage of that to throw in a pit stop.
Now Sullivan's got some junk on the nose of his car. The crowd here, I must say, has been throwing a lot of stuff out on the road.
Yeah, it seems like an awful lot of plastic flying around here.
400,000.
Oh, now we got them both in together. Yep. There is Andretti on the top, Sullivan on the bottom.
Well,
see who gets out first.
Pit crews in the business working simultaneously.
All right, Danny being pushed away.
Ripping through the gear.
And here comes Mario.
4 forward speed here.
Nothing changed on that stop, I don't believe.
No. Sullivan, all right, Guerrero. That's Guerrero.
Okay, Guerrero into the pit. Still going well in 3rd place in the race.
Come up to 3rd. Guerrero had a marvelous drive here last year. Had a spin right at the end. You remember that?
Okay, looks like they're ready to go. Problem. Oh, no. Got a problem getting going here.
Oh, no.
And this is costing him a lot.
He stalled the engine. That's what happened. He stalled the engine. Now, he lost arguably, oh, boy.
Well,
I don't know.
15, 20, 25 seconds.
He flooded it, in effect.
You mean even as I do? Let's go to Jim Lampley with Carl Haas.
Carl, just prior to that last pit stop under the green flag, it appeared that Sullivan was running a little quicker. Are you concerned?
Well, yeah, we were a little bit loose, and we've changed our tires now, so we'll see what happens.
What about power? Is there room to adjust the boost upward for more horsepower?
No. We're at maximum boost all the time.
All right. That's the word from here in Mario Andretti's pit. Let's go to Jack Arute at Danny Sullivan's pit.
We've talked about fuel and the concern for it in some camps. It does not seem to be a concern here in the Penske camp with Danny Sullivan at the controls. You can see the fuel tank here in the measurements that are being taken. After this last pit stop, there was approximately 100 gallons left to go the remaining distance in this race. By our calculations, that would figure out, well, you'd only have to get about 1.2 miles per gallon, and the USAC rules call for well above that, about 1.7. So plenty of fuel left in the tank of Danny Sullivan.
Okay, still under yellow. That report from Jack Arute. Danny Sullivan leading Mario Andretti, but Andretti has a chance to close up here under the yellow. That is allowed. It'll be a very close start.
Mario Andretti being chased by Danny Sullivan. Sullivan darts out, pulls alongside Mario Andretti. It's a drag race down the main stretch. Can Sullivan pull Andretti into the first turn? Ron Carroll.
I got him, and it is Danny Sullivan gets him. Danny Sullivan gets him down. No, he's swirling. No, he's spinning. Danny Sullivan spins, but he goes around twice and gathers it in.
Absolutely incredible. Danny Sullivan spun in front of Mario Andretti, gathered the car back up and continues on, and Sullivan only fell back to 2nd place. Larry Henry, they're coming to you.
Here comes the white flag, 1 lap to go. For the 35-year-old who, at the point you make so well, Sam, he is known as the swinging bachelor of the circuit, but he has paid his dues. All the menial jobs he had with 13 years of racing behind him.
Yes, he has, but for all of the things that I hope and wish for Danny Sullivan, and I'm one of his greatest fans, this man, Mario Andretti, looks as if he's headed for defeat today on the day he said he had the best chance ever in his 20 years to win the Indianapolis 500. I feel incredibly for Mario to put so much work and so much hope into this and is coming up short just a few seconds worth.
The old American hero will lose the race. The new American hero is Daniel John Sullivan III of Louisville, Kentucky, who has won the Indianapolis 500. Mario Andretti finishing second. Roger Penske, the crew chief. Now is the time to celebrate. They didn't budge a muscle until he had crossed the start-finish line, that yard of brick, for the last time. Danny Sullivan headed for victory lane at Indianapolis. A moment he has to have dreamed about, thought about, planned for, but I would imagine, Sam, you're never quite ready for it.
Jim, he gave up a promising career in Formula One just 2 years ago to take a chance on IndyCar racing, and this is where that chance led.
And Danny, this race is likely to be remembered for the one remarkable moment with just a little more than 80 laps to go when you spun twice and came out of it. Your frame of mind after that, were you able to completely block that particular moment of danger out?
Well, I looked at it this way, that the sun was shining on me. That if I got away with that and was still in the race and was still in second place, somebody was looking after me. And I figured if we could do that and still come back, we had a good shot at it. And I knew that I could run with just about anybody, and I knew I had to measure on Mario, so we were just looking for to stay out of trouble. And then when that happened at the restart with all those guys down there, and we got through that, I knew we were making it home.